So I got a box of bottle bottoms from Mike Mason, and he sent me a little comment in the comment section on one of the videos that was something like, "Why don't you work on my stuff and finish it up?" Yeah, and I looked up the emails that we had sent back and forth, and he wanted me, in particular, to work on this one. Right, so I got this in one piece originally, and then on a video, I think it was the video where I have the bottles, like the steak sauce bottle and the wine bottle in there, and I forget what the title of it is. It's something like economical use of glass or something. I don't know. Anyway, I broke this so that I can work the pieces. I broke this on that video. I just smashed it in the middle, right where it was tallest, or where the convexity was. I hit this side because it's really easy to break when you hit the convex side, right? So I can work these. These are a little bit more difficult, these smaller ones, because it's very persnickety. Uh, you got to thin those down a lot, which is a lot of persnickety knapping because it's such a little piece. But you can still make arrowheads out of those. So I'm just going to work on one of these. Okay. Now this one would probably would be the easiest because it's already triangular in shape. So I'm not going to work that one. I don't work the easy stuff on video, usually. I usually try to work the more difficult items. Why did I break it? Because it's got a big old curve. Yeah. And I didn't cut it because it's really, really curved. This one is almost like a triangle too, so that one's too easy. Let's do this one. So yeah, I don't even mess with big curved items. I just break them down into manageable pieces. How big was that piece? I don't know. I don't even know how this goes together now. I know that's not the way it fit. It may have been like this. So the dimensions of this, it's like 4¼ long. All right, so now on these broken pieces, it's like 3 inches long, the longest. Can I get a 3-inch piece out of this? 3-inch arrowhead? Probably not. I gotta take the curve out first. How do you take the curve out? You gotta chip it. I know you gotta chip it, but how do you take the curve out? Well, you gotta do a lot of non-related yapping, first of all. Yapping that drives people nuts because it has nothing to do with what you're trying to accomplish in the knapping. Some people get bent out of shape because apparently they don't understand what they're seeing unless I say something about it. Right? You don't understand. I mean, I gotta explain it. I used to try to explain everything. And I'm not making fun of you. Not really. I'm trying to reveal what's really going on. I don't really know how to explain exactly what I do. I'm just going to be honest with you. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why did you take that flake? Why are you chipping this side? What is your reasoning behind the strategies of attack and all that kind of stuff? Why are you doing this and why are you doing that? To be honest with you, I don't know. I'm trying to make an arrowhead. Yeah. Everything that I'm doing is because I'm trying to make an arrowhead. Yeah, but why did you start this side first? And why are you hitting it with indirect percussion, not direct percussion? Is there a reason for all these things? I got a crack in there right there. I think I installed that one just now. Ooh, this is highly brittle. Yeah, I don't know why I start in a certain spot. I don't know why I prefer a certain shape to start with. Or I don't know why I might thin the tip down first. A lot of this just comes from the subconscious telling me that just do this and do that. Just do this because it feels right. It feels like something that was successful in the past. Or maybe I'm just bored with what I usually do and I'm doing something slightly different because of the way my subconscious is interpreting the feelings about what I'm doing. There is a lot of just instinctive or intuitive or emotional even input going on with these things. So I don't know why I do these things in certain orders. All I know is that I'm trying to get an arrowhead. Yeah. But I understand that some beginners are totally lost when I say those things. They get lost. They start drifting. They lose their anchor and their boat is drifting in the ocean of endless seas. The endless sea. I've just pulled up their anchor and now they're drifting on an endless sea of unknowns. Whenever I mention the subconscious, they need to know what my conscious mind is doing. All right, I'll tell you what my conscious mind is doing. It's making up all these yip yaps. Yeah. It's focusing on talking about something other than napping. That's what my conscious mind is doing. Other than providing a window for my subconscious. See, this provides a window into reality. My conscious mind provides a window for my subconscious. I can do both talking about an unrelated subject and Flintknap because a lot of it is subconscious. And I think it might be something like what musicians do sometimes. Sometimes musicians can play the instrument and sing at the same time. Like two different brains are working together. And they don't get mixed up. Same with this. Although I can't do that with an instrument. I can't talk or whatever and play at the same time. Maybe it's because I'm too new at it, but I've tried to sing or talk while playing and I can't do it. What do I play? Nothing. Just when I've started to try to practice. Anyway, how is it possible that I can talk and do this at the same time? It's possible because there's two things going on at the same time. If I try to focus on what I'm doing consciously when I'm napping, believe it or not, many times I mess it up. Yeah, but just tell us because even the mess ups are helpful. No, they're not. They're not in this case. They're not helpful because I'm messing up because I'm trying to explain it. You're not really watching me nap the way I nap if I'm trying to explain it and messing it up. You're watching how I subconsciously nap if I don't try to explain it. This is how I really knap. If I'm not explaining it, this is how I really knap. Yeah. Because I'm letting my subconscious take over. Get it? No, it doesn't help at all. It doesn't help at all. Not even that stupid voice you do. It doesn't help. Okay, fine. There are other guys that try to explain what they're doing. I've tried to explain what I'm doing on my other videos where I, in the title, I put the wording, what is it called? Or what did I say? Insights? No. It's my other glass videos, my latest glass videos. I can't remember what's in the title. But the Dacite or the opaque Obsidian video where it's 12-to-1 ratio, there's insights into that, what my mindset, that's what it is. Look, type Jack Crafty mindset, and you should come up with 3 videos that are very recent, like in the past week. And review those or, watch those. I tried to give you the insights into what I'm doing as far as what my brain's thinking when I'm doing this. I try to. The problem is, since I'm not exactly sure why I do certain things, I'm almost guessing in many cases. Almost. Because what I do is I look at what I'm doing and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing as I'm doing it. I don't figure it out first and then do it. I just do it and then I look at it and see what it is, see what I did, and try to figure out what I did. Because it's a lot of muscle memory. It's a lot of previous experience and practice that takes over. So when I'm telling you my mindset, what I'm actually doing is looking to see what I did and try to explain what I did. And believe it or not, I can be wrong sometimes about what I'm doing or why I do certain things or what's my plan. This one broke because of the diving effect. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with the material. But see, it's the diving effect. Like when you try to flute a Clovis, all it needs is a slight dive and some bending. Okay, in this case, it's bending this way because I was like that. That causes it to snap like that. It's not the actual bending itself. It's the diving of the flake. It was too long. Not supposed to be that long. Why did I take the flake? Because it's part of thinning it. Okay? Why do I explain this kind of stuff? Well, because the breakage is different. Analyzing a breakage is different than analyzing the initiation of it. I know why it broke, because it dove. The flake dove in. Okay, so what do I learn from this kind of stuff? I learned that it's very divey. Normally it doesn't break like this because that was this is convex. There's no real risk of it breaking like this in under normal circumstances with material that is, glass. But in this case, this is breaky in this way, this type of glass. So here we go again. Now, from that one, I learned that I've got to be more careful with the longer flakes. I cannot be doing long flakes on this. Well, I can. There's 2 things. One, the cracks. I had crack on the side. Now, did it break where it had a crack? Now, that's a good question. Remember it had a crack? Somewhere in there? It may have been right there where this open. It may have been right there. Remember how I had to get rid of that crack right there? I might not have gotten rid of it entirely. So instead of that diving flake snapping somewhere else, it snapped right where there was a incipient or a remnant of a crack. Not an incipient, but a remnant of that crack that was there before. Instead of snapping in this direction, for example, it snapped in that direction because there was a weak spot. But it was going to snap in either way, either case. I think that it just met up with this other crack here. Okay? So there's two things, the crack on the side and the diving flake. So I've got to be less aggressive, shorter flakes and less power. Okay? Less power means less crackling on the sides. So I've got to tone it down, which is what I don't like to do. And the glass is very slippery. It feels tempered, like it's very hard. Yeah, the glass, this particular bit of glass is tempered. Like all bottles, all bottle glass is tempered glass, but this one feels more tempered than the usual. Yeah. That's what I should say. It feels more tempered than the usual, so it tends to snap easier into like a blocky shape. The higher the temper, I guess they call it, the higher the temper, the more blocky pieces become. I don't see a lot of long, skinny shards. I see a lot of short shards. Although there's some long ones in here, but they're not like really super long. Anyway, it doesn't help you, I know, for me to admit that I don't know exactly why I do things. Because if you're trying to learn, you need to know exactly what to do. Right? That's what you're thinking? Well, like, I hate to break it to you, but you don't need to know exactly what to do to learn how to do knapping. No. You just need to get a whole big pile of knappable stuff and then start doing it. And if you are breaking a bunch of it and you're upset because you're breaking a bunch of it and you just can't stand it, maybe knapping's not for you. Just gonna be honest. Maybe you need psychologically to know how to do it before you can start. Maybe knapping's not for you. Yeah. The best way to learn knapping is just to start doing it with no guidance. Just start doing it with don't even worry about how to do it. Just start doing it. Just copy as best you can what you see other knappers do and just start doing it. This is hitting, it's going and hitting on the backswing. In case you're wondering. Anyway, that's the best way to learn or to start learning. Just start doing it. Some people will say, well, I've been starting to do it for 3 years and I still can't do anything. So I'm still starting to learn it. I don't want to be here. Yeah, if you've been doing this, if you've been starting to learn it for 3 years and you haven't gotten past this stage, let's say, yeah, there's some issues there. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Flintknapping is like a sport. It is a sport. If you have no talent for sport, you may not have talent for this. Just being honest, okay? If you can't pick up these hand-eye coordination things and deal with risk and a bit of randomness, you may not have the ability to comprehend what's going on. Just like some people are not good at sports because something is not registering in their brain, or they get impatient, or the hand-eye coordination is off for some reason. Maybe their eyesight is bad. You know, I'm not talking nearsightedness or vision wise. It's just for some reason the hand-eye connection isn't there, or isn't fully there. I don't know. If you're breaking everything in sight, just back off. You're hitting too hard. What if you're hitting really softly and still breaking it? Change the material. What is the best material, the most flexible, the best glass of all? It's the older glass. This older stuff is the best material. The newer glass is manufactured with techniques that cut corners, I think, because it doesn't seem to be as good. The newer glass, but the older stuff, I don't know why, but same with window glass. If you ever tried the knap window glass, modern window glass, it's terrible. It's clear for one thing, yeah, but it snaps really easy. And the stuff you buy at Hobby Lobby, the stained glass, it snaps really easy also. Go and pick up stuff from an old bottle dump, or you know, you. Everybody knows somebody that has a lot of bottle glass from old bottles. Just get some of that old stuff if you want to know what's the best stuff, and see if it helps. And get yourself some copper tools. Yeah, you can mess with antler and all the other stuff later. Yeah, what you're trying to do is learn the mechanics of knapping without having to deal with all the inconsistencies and maintenance requirements of natural tools, for example. You don't want to deal with all the issues right off the bat with the natural tools like antler, because you don't know if it's you or the tools or what, or the material that's not being successful or is causing you to fail. The natural tools could be causing you to fail because you don't know how to maintain them properly, or you've got antler that's super soft, or antler that's super crackly, or you're using bone that's super splintery, or some kind of weakness in the bone, if that's what you're using, or you got horn that's too soft or too flexible, or your humidity where you are fluctuates wildly from day to day. So some days the antler behaves a certain way because of the humidity, and some days it behaves a different way because of the humidity. Dry antler behaves differently than antler in a high humidity environment. Yeah, desert antler is different than, let's say, forest antler. Okay? Depends on where you are and with the level of humidity. But if you get copper, it's pretty much the same, no matter what. Unless you're sourcing your copper from some weird scrapyard that has different alloys of copper. I say weird because most scrapyards have the electrical copper, right? Use electrical copper. Stuff they're using for electrical panels or electrical uses, not for, like, I don't know, other uses. And you get pretty much the same alloy. And don't be messing with trying to harden the copper, because you don't have a way to judge how hard it's getting. How hard is it going to get when you flatten it? How many hits does it take to flatten and to harden the copper to get to the center of that Tootsie Pop? Did you strike the antler? I mean, did you strike the copper the same way each time you do it when you're hardening it? Did you twist it with the same number of twists to harden it every time you did that? Or you're not keeping track and it's messing you up? Who knows? So don't modify anything. Keep the tool tip clean of any debris and impregnated bits. Use something to grind it off. Don't peen it. Don't go like this and take a little hammer and make it all smooth by doing that, because you'll harden it and you'll also create layers and mushrooming that you hammer down the mushrooming and it looks flat, but it's got a layer now where as you're flaking the stone, the copper starts flaking as well, and it gives you a different result. So grind it off. Grind off the mess. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm at the same. This is the same stage as I was before. Okay, when I broke this one. So I have to make sure I don't do the same things I did to this one. So there's no cracks on the sides as far as I know. I was taking it easy. See, I wasn't hitting very hard, and it causes some issues like step fractures when I don't hit very hard. But that's okay. I'd rather have a step fracture than a crack on the side. I can get that step fracture out later when it gets more narrow. All right, so I'm not going to be hitting from the tip either. I'm going to be thinning from the sides because this stuff tends to dive in, so I can't be doing really long flakes safely. I can do long flakes, but they're not safe. Okay? Okay. Now, sometimes I don't even obey my own rules. I'll just start making long flakes and I won't even pay attention to what I just said. Why do I do that? Because my subconscious says, I don't need no stinking short flakes. Don't need no stinking cautionary approach. We've done this before. I think I can do it without any of those safeguards. Yeah. The subconscious does all kinds of stupid stuff. The conscious mind, if it's working right, it wants to be all logical, like, I should just pressure flake the edges to a perfect continuous platform on both sides. And then from there, methodically work on the surface to make it smooth, first on that side, and then on this side, smooth with flakes. And then pressure flake it perfectly again on both sides to set up a continuous platform to start knapping across this face. Right? As it gets more narrow, it becomes easier to knap across this concavity. And yes, you can knap into a concavity as long as it's not very wide. Don't start knapping into the concavity when it's wide. Wait till it's short and you got only a little bit left. That's what the conscious mind is capable of doing. It's capable of strategizing. The subconscious mind is going to handle the tactics, like, how do I hit this particular spot? How do I do this? Like, how do I hold it? I got a wide range, but for most practical purposes, there's just a small range of variability in each strike. Okay, because we're just pretty much doing the same kind of flaking. So there's going to be just a very little variation in this angle. And this angle is the same for pressure. Like if you're pressure flaking, it's the same angle. If you're hitting with a billet, same angle. Everything's the same. Everything's the same. Pressure, indirect percussion, direct percussion, it's all the same. The thing that is different is the small tweaks in the edge quality, the slight angle change here, the slight angle change there, just little tweaks. But keep in mind, it's all the same angles because it's going to break at the same angle every time. The fracture from a rounded surface, they're all rounded pretty much. See that? The tips are all rounded, rounded, rounded. The fractures are going to initiate the same way. Do they initiate differently with different shapes? Yes, they do. Yeah. What's the difference? I don't know because I don't explore it that much. But I know it's a little bit different. I have explored the flat, knapping with a flat. So what does that mean? See this, it's almost flat. Let's pretend that was flat. You can knap with a flat. It's not rounded. It does change things slightly. The angle of force, the what seems to be the best contour of the edge. It's best to isolate when you hit with a flat because you don't want to be hitting with the other parts of this on this, because you don't want a bunch of stuff sticking out and hitting a bunch of stuff at the same time. So you'll need to isolate more. But it's the same, pretty much the same angle of applied force. Okay? It's just using different tools, but the shape of the tool is going to adjust it a little bit. You have to tweak it to get used to this. Like if this was flat, you got to get used to it. What that means is it's slight tweaks in the edge quality, in the angles, in the initial swing, the speed of the swing, etc., etc. Okay? Okay. So I'm giving you the mechanics behind it. I'm not really giving you the reason why I do the things because I don't know. There's so many different ways to go about this as far as getting this into an arrowhead, making this into an arrowhead, that it's almost infinite. Yeah. Why'd you hit there? I hit there because it didn't hit there. That's the best I can come up with. I don't know why I hit in certain spots and then hit in other spots. I don't know why. I don't know why I went for that right now. Other than it just felt right. Yeah. My subconscious says, it's bugging me. I know I can do it. I can do it. Just leave me alone. I can do it. So I did it. And I did that too. I said, we don't need no stinking short flakes. I can make a long flake. Don't worry about it. Don't be so worried. I'm guessing that's what my subconscious is saying. Right? Because I'm looking at the results. Obviously my subconscious says, yeah, I can do it. No worries. Don't worry so much. Do I know exactly why? No, I don't know exactly why. My conscious brain says that's a long flake that could have dived or overshot. But it didn't. Because my subconscious says, don't worry so much. Yeah. Obviously, it didn't break. See? Yeah, but I can't take those chances all the time. So I got to tone it down a little bit. I said, no, I cannot continue to do that. My conscious brain says, no. And sometimes my subconscious brain says, no, can't. It doesn't feel right to do something. Okay? Everything's clear as mud. No, you're still drifting without an anchor in the sea of despair. I know. You just gotta flint knap all day. Or not all day, but every day. if you have time, a little bit every day is the best because you forget. You sleep and then you forget. You lose a little bit. You got to get back in the groove. If you take too long between knapping sessions, I recommend, try to do 1 point every day, just one arrowhead. If it doesn't work out, you just say, okay, that's enough for today. Just one every day when you're starting out. Yeah, I know you got, some people say, I got all day. I'm retired. I got 12 hours. I can do it. No one's going to bug me. I'm going to nap 12 hours and learn 12 times as fast. I wish that was true. You're going to wear yourself out. And yeah, you'll learn faster, but you'll learn how to work when you're tired. And the quality of the work is going to suffer because you're tired. Your brain needs to be rested. It needs to be fully aware to achieve the best results. I don't recommend napping when you're tired. In fact, I want you to pace yourself. Learn to pace yourself because when it gets down to the ending, when you're trying to finish the point, or when you're trying to thin it down at the end, you don't want to be tired. You don't want to be frazzled or disappointed because you broke 6 points before you got to this final stage like this. You just broke 6 bottle bottoms and you're finally getting this. It's been like 3 hours and you just got to push through it. You're starting to get a blister on one of your fingers, but you're going to push through it and get perfect results at the very end. No, you're not. You need to be the most rested and alert at the final stages, not the most tired and worn out and blistery in the final stages. That's why a lot of people, I think, don't get good at the final stage because they're so worn out by that time. They think that they gotta push on through. No, you don't have to. In fact, it's probably better that if you just make the buy face and go, okay, that's good for the day. We're gonna finish it out tomorrow when I'm fresh. Or, maybe even a little bit later on today. Yeah, you could take like a 2-hour break. I think 2 hours is good enough. Come back to it. You've got to have some sort of rest. If you're having a bad day, especially between napping sessions, you will see an improvement. Now, some brains don't work that way. They get obsessed. And if anything interrupts them during their napping, it spoils their whole day. They have to exhaust themselves. It's perfectly okay. If you can operate that way where you just can't put it down, you've got to finish it. That's the only way you'll do it. And you can handle it, then fine. Do it that way. But I don't recommend it. No. If you can, I recommend taking a break before you get to the final stages. Why do I say stages plural? Well, one is the final stage is cosmetic flaking to get rid of step fractures and doing damage control to make it nice and pretty. That's one stage. The other stage is notching, making nice pretty notches. Another stage is sharpening. Okay, so there's cleanup, flaking, notching, and sharpening. At least 3 stages where you need to have a good mental awareness and physical vitality in order to achieve the best results. Okay? Okay. Oh. do a live stream, dude, so we can ask you questions instead of you having to come up with questions and answers and dialogues that are stupid. Yeah, I know. I should go live so I can take questions while I'm doing this. But I can't even imagine having to read these little comments that come up. I guess I have to read off the phone and then try to nap and talk. Right? And the phone's got to be in front of me so I can read off what's coming in. So you can't see me while I'm napping. So I'm not going to be like face to face with you. Right? Other people can do the face to face interaction on a live stream because they're on a computer and they can make the print really big, I think. I think that's how they do it. But on the phone, the print's a little tiny. So you'll be looking at my eyeballs if it's face to face on my phone, I imagine. Although I have seen people do the live streaming with a phone, but they do get it real close up to the screen, yeah, just to read, because they'll back off, and then they'll see a comment, and then they'll come back, they'll come up to the phone, and they'll start reading, and then they'll back off again. So I don't want to be doing that while napping. Yeah, I don't know. One of these days. And I can't nap with a computer in front of my face. I gotta figure that out. I know that it can be done. I've seen guys do it. Yeah. I mean, Jason Newman does it. He goes live on Facebook and he's able to read. You know, he has the phone set up at, lengthwise up and down. And I guess he's able to read the comments as they come in. He'll turn. The phone is. The camera is on him, right? And he's able to bend over or lean over and read, and then lean back and do it. Just watch Jason Newman's live nappings on Facebook. He has figured out how to do it. I can probably do it that way as well. You just won't be able to see the napping like this close. It'll be far away. And you won't see the exact shape of the edge, or you won't see the exact shape of the tooltip. You know what I mean? Anyways. I gotta be careful with this glass. Make sure this is just right and well ground down to expose the fresh copper. Because I got a feeling that it's going to get really tough to get this thing thin. Because the flakes want to dive a little bit. Yeah. And this end has a smaller tip than this end. This is more rounded than this one. I'll be using this toward the end. Okay. Yeah. And I got to get a glove now because I'm going to do some pressure flaking on this. I can usually do like 90% of my work with indirect percussion, but I want to try the pressure flake to see how it works on this glass. It's going to slip a lot, I can tell already. It's best to use copper. I like these 16-penny nails. I don't have to harden it. I don't have to, pound the tip to harden it, or twist it to harden it, or find a special hard copper alloy. Why does it need to be hard? Because sometimes copper deforms too fast when you're napping, and you got to keep filing it, and it gets annoying. The filing and filing and filing is annoying, right? Well, at least with me. Some guys love it. 2 or 3 flakes, and then 2 or 3 flakes more, and another couple flakes. They love it. For me, 20 minutes of that, I don't want to nap for a month. It's so annoying. Okay. So let's see how this works with pressure. Yeah. It works fine. It's glass. Yeah, it's crunching like glass. How do you avoid crunching? Well, you don't really. You just get used to it, and you minimize the crunching. Now, some guys say, "Well, I know how to minimize it by putting a bevel on there," and I don't get that ever anymore. Okay, I still get crunching with a bevel, so there. I've got to get used to the material, and then slow way down. And sometimes I have to grind a lot. Yeah. But I can't grind too much because then it's too hard to remove a flake. And then eventually I find a Goldilocks zone between grinding too much and not enough. And then once I hit the Goldilocks zone, I'm on a roll. Yeah, I can get on a roll. I can get in the zone. Yeah. This is going to take forever. Yep. So I don't want to be taking this edge back with pressure. It's going to take forever. So I'm going to use the Abrader like a hammerstone and just chip the edge back. Why am I doing that? I've already pretty much flaked what I wanted to on this side. I've got to get rid of the original surface on this side. So I need to make it more narrow. Now, some of you guys are clever and you'll say, wait, that looks like an original flake scarf from a big flake. Why do you want to mess with it? Looks like a big flake was taken. Yeah, it looks like a big flake was taken. And I can leave it. Don't have to mess with it. As long as it's smooth enough to look like a flake was removed there. But it doesn't look smooth enough, does it? See, this is nice and slick. This has a little bit of grit to it. See that? It doesn't look like a flake. It looks like an industrial surface. I don't know how else to explain it. So I'm going to flake over it. Now this might still be too wide, but we shall see in a minute if it's too wide or not. If it starts to dive and I get nasties, then it's still too wide. Okay. What are nasties? You'll see crunchy spots and stupid stuff. Yeah. In the middle. Okay. I'm using the smaller end. Okay, so I will go back and forth from the smaller end to the larger end, see which one works better. Because we're getting to the stage where I need to figure out what works best. This is a critical stage. This is entering the sweat stage, as I call it. I gotta figure out what works well for me on this one particular day, because tomorrow I might not be able to do it this way. Why? Because maybe it's just too persnickety. It just requires too much focus. Then I get tired with this little tip on there. The flakes are too small and I get tired because I gotta take off way too many flakes. I might not want to do this tomorrow because I'll have bad memories and I'll say, oh, I remember on that video yesterday, it took me forever to make a pass down the side with that little bitty point on the flaker. And after all that work to get it to this size without breaking it, I might install a crack with that sharp point. It is possible to have a sharp point work well with one material, but with another material it doesn't. I don't know why. All right, so I took a big flake, and as I thought it would, it fans out a lot because it's kind of flat. It'll fan when flat. You know, see, the flatter it gets, the more it'll fan out. The more convex it is, the less it'll fan out. In most cases, is a general rule. Some people, it's just the opposite. They say, no, I can get long, narrow flakes better on a flat surface. But with me, I get long, narrow flakes easier on a curved surface. Yeah. All right, so I can't make a general statement. People are different. Some people cannot make this work with copper indirect percussion or steel indirect percussion on glass. They can't make it work. They got to use pressure or direct percussion. They can't make it work with the indirect percussion. Why? I don't know. They're not doing it right. Yeah. I think what they're doing is they're too high up on the edge. Got to back off a little bit. Just try to do the minimum and then work your way up. I got to do the minimum here also because I don't want to snap this. Even though I know I can make longer flakes if I really step on the gas, so to speak, I'm backing off a little bit because it can be, I think this can be very snappy type stuff where it will snap in half or do something I don't want it to do. Like snap the tip off. I just want to barely reach across and create a flake surface, just barely. Nothing fancy, just enough to cover the whole surface with flakes. We'll see what happens after that. See if I need to thin it some more or whatever. Just try to get the whole surface covered with flakes first, right? Some people say, why didn't you just do that in the beginning? Just flake everything in the beginning. Because I prefer to make it narrow, like I've said on many videos, prefer to make it narrow so you don't have to shoot big flakes. Big flakes mess things up. Yes, they do. Little flakes have a less chance of messing things up. Yeah. As a beginner, I don't recommend you trying to take big flakes unless it's on a big item or a big workpiece. I don't recommend you taking big old flakes like this when you're new. You know, it's okay if it's really flakery and has a lot of little flakes when you're new. You can work on boldness later. Yeah. I like to have large flakes on the surface, but it took me years to get to the point where I could do that without step fracturing. Yeah. Now see, this is where the flakes can dive, right? So I'm just taking the short ones. Just short ones, okay? They look like pressure flakes. And it's the same angles that you would use for pressure. It's just you're hitting the pressure flaker instead of pressuring the pressure flaker. Okay? You're percussing the pressure flaker instead of pressuring the pressure flaker. Okay? Okay. I say that like I go, okay, because I know there's issues with it. I know it's not a perfect explanation. Because it's not shaped like a pressure flaker. It's too thick in most cases. Most people don't use a 1/4 inch rod for pressure flaking. So it's not the same. I know it's not the same. But just imagine it. Trust me. You're going to have to trust me on that one. Some people say, you sure it's the same angles and everything? Yeah, same angles and everything. How do I know? Well, when you start changing the angles, you get bad results. That's how I know. Yeah. And after years and years and years, I go, you know what? This is the same angles. It's all basically the same with just slight tweaks. Someone watching can't even tell that you're tweaking it. That's how subtle the tweaks are. It looks the same, exactly the same. And for the most part, it is the same, except for the subtle, almost imperceptible little tweaks. Yeah. I took a risk on that one. My subconscious said, yeah, I can do it, but it stepped. That's okay, though, because I can get it out later. Yeah, no worries. I'm not worried. Now, as a beginner, those are going to worry you like crazy. You're going to go, hey, I'll never be able to get that out now. I ruined the whole thing after, 45 minutes. I can't stand it. Yeah, I know. We've all been there. After 45 minutes of hard work, you do one flake that you're not going to be able to fix, and it drives you nuts. Yeah. You'll go in and you'll be convinced that people that can do this are engaged in sorcery. Yeah. What did you have to do? Did you have to sell your soul to the devil to get that done? I wish it was that easy. That would have been easy. Yeah. You mean all I gotta do is sign on the dotted line and I can start napping? Sign me up. Yeah, I guess. Sometimes it gets that frustrating that, I'll do anything. I'll sign it. But no, it's not that easy. You gotta train your brain. Your brain becomes a new creature. Yeah, you're never the same after you learn napping. Nope. Never the same. And you don't even know that you know how to nap. In the Matrix, when they can plug in and then learn something within a matter of seconds and say, ooh, I know how to do karate, as an example. Well, I was thinking about that. You can plug into the Matrix and learn napping. And then all of a sudden, hey, I know how to nap. Right? And think to yourself, I know how to nap. Except when I'm thinking to myself, I know how to nap, I really don't know that I can nap. I know that I can start doing it and do it while I'm doing it. How do I explain this? But if I'm just sitting there watching TV and I'm saying, I know how to nap, uh, it's not like I can visualize everything all at once. Yeah, I know how to take a piece of glass and start, but it's so complicated that I can't grasp the whole thing all at once and say, yeah, I know how to nap. No, if maybe it's just me, but I don't see it that way. The napping, the knowledge of napping, becomes apparent as I'm doing it, not as I'm just sitting there thinking about it. Because I'll sit there and I'll think, I know how to do that. That's amazing. If I'm just sitting there, I know how to do that. But that's amazing that I know how to do that. I can't really visualize that I know how to do that. I just know how to do it because I can see my results. So if I were to plug into the matrix and then learn napping, I would have to say, sure, okay, fine. I plugged in, I downloaded the information. I really don't understand that I can nap. Let me just get a piece of glass and then start doing it. And then if I can start doing it and then make an arrowhead, then I'll know that I can nap. That's how it would feel like. Yeah. I wouldn't be confident that I knew if it was just plugged into my brain. I had to sit down and actually do it. What has that got to do with anything? It has to do with the fact that a lot of this is subconscious and you really don't know how you do it. And if you try to explain it, chances are you're not going to be able to figure out exactly how to explain it. Like I have that dilemma. I don't know how to explain it exactly. So I show you on a video up close from my perspective, from first person perspective. So I think that's the best way to learn. All right, so I've got to go inside. The nurse is here for my dad, so I gotta go inside and see what's going on. I'll come back to this on the next segment. You ready? I think it's coming along well. Yeah. All right. There you go. On to the next segment.